Imagine that you're just chilling at home, doing some chores for your dad, and you've just popped around to the local hidden storage cave to pick up a bottle of wine, when, suddenly, an uppity group of pirates decide to bomb your island and kidnap your friend. Oh, and your dad rushes off after them. Now, you might think that's the perfect start to the day, but things, as the old adage goes, can only get worse before they get better. Before you know it, 6 months have passed with nary a word from your dad. So, what's a girl to do? Well, if you're Tilia, you plop on your best armor, grab a sword, and you put your training to the test. Your goal? To find your father, your friend, and whip some pirate butt. Ocean's Heart, developed by Max Mraz, is an isometric 2D action RPG, heavily inspired by the Legend of Zelda series and similar ARPGs. The game is, in fact, both a homage and a love letter to these games, and a game that gets most of the strengths of the genre right. As Tilia, it's your job to explore the wondrous archipelago of islands, to find your father and friend, and to make those pirates regret messing with your hometown. Of course, that initially simple quest quickly becomes more complicated the further you progress. Ancient myths, mystical artifacts, and the growing pirate presence that threatens the seas will eventually become part of your burden as well. The story is rounded out by a colourful cast of quirky characters, and self-aware writing that doesn't quite break the fourth wall, but manages to let you know it's aware of its tropes. All of this takes place across a colourful pixel art world that rewards your time spent leisurely exploring and soaking in the atmosphere and charm of the game. The world is home to pretty towns and cities, rain-soaked islands, grass-clogged marshes and forests, and dingy, dangerous dungeons. Oh, and an assortment of monsters looking to put you into an early grave. Ocean's Heart, while not featuring any voice acting, does have a great soundtrack of cheery tunes that add to the ambience. The sound effects are good, and calling down a bolt of lightning from the sky sounds fantastically meaty on impact. Your main quest will take you all over the archipelago, and the game doesn't hold your hand when it comes to exploring and figuring out how to get where you need to go. Exploration will reveal many hidden caves, dungeons, and some other areas you'll need to come back to later when you're stronger or have the right equipment. That said, you'll still typically need to explore everywhere just to get where you need to go. The world design and sense of exploration are so relaxing that doing so is never an issue. You constantly want to find out what's lurking beyond that screen transition or behind that foreboding cave entrance. Now, exploration does reward you, usually with unmarked side quests, money, or extra life hearts. The game's side quests, however, can be a mixed bag. While the writing is well done, most of them are of the go here and kill something variety. Luckily, most of the side quests take place at the same location, or an adjacent location, making them easy to complete and turn in as you go. There are some gems, though, that add some much-needed variety, such as catching a tic-tac-toe thief, interfering in a dog's birthday party, or finding a commerce vigilante. The world side quests, on the other hand, require you to travel all over the land to complete them. Some can be completed as you explore, while others will require you retrace your steps. Combat is rather simple. You have a basic sword attack with a large area of effect that is incredibly useful. You can also dodge roll, which serves the dual purpose of helping you avoid damage and traverse the world faster. And finally, as with any good ARPG, there is plenty of extra gear to pick up as you go along. Magic and projectile attacks eventually bolster your arsenal, though it feels like some of the best gear shows up a little too late in the campaign. The boomerang you pick up early is probably the best weapon in the entire game. It has the ability to hit multiple opponents on its return throw, along with the chance to stun enemies, giving you time to get in close and wail on them. There's also a knockback effect when you attack with your sword, which also pushes your character back. Initially this feels weird, but it does allow you to avoid enemy follow-up attacks or AoE damage around them. As in the Zelda games, all the important gear you pick up can usually be found in the dungeons. Sadly though, while they are used to traverse some parts of these dungeons, these new abilities aren't used as extensively as they could have been. As a result, the dungeons are all rather simple to traverse, with only basic puzzle solving required. Initially, the game can feel challenging, with several areas you'll definitely need to return to later. However, once you've started racking up more hearts, and some offense and defense upgrades, Ocean's Heart becomes quite easy. That's not to say you can't die, but the risk of death becomes far less frequent as you progress and get used to the combat flow. Should you fall, the game lets you save and continue from the beginning of the area, with most of your life restored. What's great about the system, in addition to the lack of loading screens, is that you never risk losing hours of progress. The upgrades and crafting system are kept nice and simple. Whatever armor you pick up or enhance at an armorer simply adds towards your overall defense. meaning there isn't a ton of pieces or stats you need to sift through. Your sword damage is enhanced at blacksmiths, but you won't pick up any new ones. It's a streamlined system that meant I could just enjoy playing the game, instead of deliberately scouring every nook, cranny and merchant inventory, hoping for new weapon drops. Enemies will drop various creature parts when destroyed, while slashing through plants and trees provides wood, berries and other natural ingredients. These are all used to create various boosting potions, and again, it's a simple and effective system. There are, however, two areas that I felt Ocean's Heart could have used a little more work in. The first is the game's lack of an area-specific minimap. The world map is great for checking which island you're on, and what paths there are between regions, but there's nothing on screen, or even within the pause menu, for the area you're currently exploring. Secondly, the game's enemies and bosses could have been more unique. There's nothing wrong with them, but they aren't memorable either. The bosses can simply be defeated using the same tactics as basic enemies, once you memorize their attack patterns. It would have been great had the gear you acquired in dungeons been used in a more meaningful way during the boss encounters, maybe adding a puzzle-based element. More often than not, the boomerang took care of most things easily. Now, despite these issues, Ocean's Heart is still a fantastically charming ARPG, featuring a strong, no-nonsense lead, has a great story, and relaxing, addictive exploration that'll leave you with a smile on your face, and a warm feeling like seeing an old friend again.